As well known, for nearly a century Sino-Russian border dispute has been constant. Russia began its aggression and expansion during the Tsarist era. The former Soviet Union continued to annex and nibble away China's territory. No other country annexed as many Chinese lands as Russia. Throughout its invasions, Tsarist Russia took Chinese lands through inequitable treaties with China, including the Treaty of Agun and the Treaty of Beijing. Besides, Tsarist Russia and the Soviets also used force to annex area that was designated in treaties as Chinese territories. No leaders in China's modern history dared to act rashly and officially recognize the inequitable treaties signed in the past. After the October Revolution, Lenin once made a declaration to return the lands to China which Russia had occupied. Lenin died before he could fulfill his promises. After Stalin came to power, he denied the declaration to China existed. However, Jiang Zemin in the 1950s was sent to the Soviet to study, and recruited by the KGB. The KGB sent Lady Spy Kleva to seduce Jiang Zemin, and blackmailed him with his traitor's background during the Japanese occupation, and forced him to become a Soviet spy. On December 9 and 10, 1999, China Jiang Zemin and Russia's President Boris Yeltsin signed in Beijing the Narrative Protocol on the eastern and western sections of China-Russia boundary. Over 1 million square kilometers of Chinese territories, the size of many times Taiwan, was given away to Russia by Jiang Zemin. Jiang also agreed to give Russia the exit point of Tumen River, cutting off northeast China from the Sea of Japan. From the time that China introduced reforms, and started in the late 1970s to open up, Jilin province had thought to gain access to the sea at the Tumen River. Access would have a far-reaching effect on economic development in the province, and play a critical role in advancing its economy. To hasten gaining access to the sea, the provincial government of Jilin invested heavily for several years in improving the province's infrastructure, and conducted several negotiations with Russia. After more than 3 years of efforts by Jilin, the coastal frontier region of Russia announced its intention to cooperate with China and build a harbor. But just as its smooth negotiation was about to enter its critical decision-making phase, Jiang Zemin privately signed his treacherous agreement with Russia, the Protocol on East section of boundary between China and Russia. The move left China's negotiators dumbfounded. With the Tumen River's entry point to the sea virtually sealed off, the strategic plan on which the people of Jilin had pinned so much hope amounted but a pile of paper. The treaties Jiang signed with Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Kazakhstan, the China-Tajikistan-Kyrgyzstan Agreement on Boundary Demarcation, and the China-Kyrgyzstan-Kazakhstan Agreement on Boundary Demarcation ceded all disputed lands. Jiang Zemin ordered the withdrawal of Chinese border troops, such that 500 kilometers from the borders left without any defenses. The area for Russia, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan which were left undefended, however, reached merely 100 kilometers from the border. Russia military commentators thought Jiang was a fool. During his visit to Philippines, Jiang offered to give up the sovereignty claims over the Spratly Islands, and agreed to join the development of the islands. And after meeting the charming Lady Senator Arroyo, Jiang sang Love Me Tender at the banquet. At the end of November 1996, Jiang visited India, and signed an agreement on confident building measures in the military field of control zone in Sino-India boundary area, setting a framework for border demarcation based on current control line, meaning that China now recognizes the McMahon Line, and had let go of 9,000 square kilometers of fertile land south of the Himalayas. Jiang approved Sino-Vietnam Land Border Treaty on December 30, 1999, which gave Vietnam Lao Shan of Yunnan Province, and Pha Ka Shan of Guangxi Province, lands that hundreds of Chinese soldiers had defended with their lives during the Sino-Vietnam Border War of 1979. Now the patriotic souls of dead soldiers were buried in Vietnam. The Senkaku Island, a part of Taiwan, including 740,000 square kilometers of exclusive economic zones where large oil deposits were found underneath the area. Jiang had never renounced using force against Taiwan, but when Japan occupied Senkaku Island, Jiang announced to seek a settlement through peaceful negotiations. Jiang didn't sign the treaties under any form of coercion or war. Given the positions Jiang held at the time of the leader of China's Communist Party, government and military, it can be said with unclad certainty that Jiang ceded China's territories of his own accord, to satisfy the Russians, and cover up his background as a traitor, working for the Japanese invaders, and as a spy working for the Soviets. The CCP feared the details of the treaties being leaked. The truth would be equally ruinous for the CCP regime. With the above said, there does remain one possible hope for recovering the territories ceded by Jiang Zemin. And that is to bring Jiang to a public trial. According to the United Nations Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaty, that treaties concluded with fraud, bribery and threat of force, are invalid. If Jiang were brought to trial for the Chinese nation for the land treaties he handled, the treaties he had signed will not count.